episode 7 of Church Lady Knits. My name is Kristen, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Hook and Gauge. And the show notes for this video cast can be found at www.hookandgauge.blogspot.com. I hope you're all doing really well. Today is February the 14th, 2016. So happy Valentine's Day if you're celebrating. This will probably go up a little later, so I hope you had a good Valentine's Day. The most Valentine-ish plans I have for today is I might watch the Father of the Bride Part 1, the Steve Martin rendition. I was just talking to my mom the other day, and I have not seen that movie in forever, and I love it. It's one of my favorites, so I will definitely have to maybe watch that here in a little bit. Again, I hope you're all well. I hope you're staying warm. I am coming to you from quite cold Raleigh, North Carolina. I think today we hit our lowest temperature so far this winter. It was 16 degrees when I woke up this morning. I don't know that we've quite made it to 30 yet. It's very cold outside. And for those of you in the Midwest and in the North, I know it's not that cold, but for us it's kind of cold. So I hope you're staying warm where you are, and I hope you're having a great kind of late winter. I don't know. We still have a chance we could probably get snow and some more nasty weather before it's all over, but I'm not really sure. You know, you just never know how long winter is actually going to last. So already kind of looking forward to spring. I'm going to go on ahead and apologize, maybe unnecessarily. I have a very needy dog with me today. Right now he's looking out the window and so far is distracted, but at any moment he could break into a fury of barking. So I do apologize, or he might kind of bump and knock stuff in his attempt to sort of get close to me. But anyway, I have tried to film this now 3 times, so we're just gonna go with it now. There hasn't just been a ton going on here. Lent has started. For those of you who are just joining, first of all, welcome. I always forget to do that. But just so you know, the name Church Lady Knits comes from partly Dana Carvey of the SNL Church Lady fame, and partly because I'm a church musician. That's what I do for my day job. And so this past Wednesday marked the first day of Lent. It was Ash Wednesday. So we are in the 40-day stretch now to Easter, and Easter comes a little early this year. It comes on March 27th. Getting ready for Easter and sort of getting back into the throw of things. It always takes a little while after Christmas for us to kind of like rev back up, but I think we're definitely getting there. Unfortunately, I feel like I just don't have a lot of knitting to show you all this week. But we're going to talk a lot about sewing. So I figured I would do all the knitting stuff first, do a little bit about the shop update, and then talk about sewing. So if you're not interested in the sewing, you don't have to stick around. I will note now, just in case any of you are interested, I'm going to start writing on my long forgotten sewing blog that I started like years ago. And it is www.sewnbykristen, KRISTEN.blogspot.com. And I will put that both in the description below as well as in the show notes over on the Hook and Gauge blog. I thought about colliding them, but I really kind of like keeping them separate, just because I already have a few followers on the sewing blog. I'm amazed that I still have followers on the sewing blog, because it's probably been 3 years since I've actually posted anything over there. But I have been bitten by the sewing bug again, so I'm really hoping to keep that up and improve some of my skills, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's just jump right in. So I have a few whips and unfortunately maybe another frog to talk about. I'm trying to think which one I want to start with. We'll start with this one. I am still making progress on my Balsam Hollow shawl. It is not the first thing I reach for, unfortunately, just because it is lace. And while it's not hard, it does take a little bit of brain power. I've maybe done like 2 rows since I showed this to you last. This is a shawl pattern by Paula Emons-feussle. And it was released with the Anne of Green Gables kit by Little Skein and the Big Wool. And I am working this up on some size 7 knit, I can't always say knit picks, but it's Knitter's Pride. I'm like knit picks, knit pro, Knitter's Pride. Knitter's Pride, the Symphony, the Dreams. It's their Symphony wood. I have an interchangeable set. So this is being worked up on size 7 needles. It's a sport weight yarn by Leadingman Fiber Arts. They're callback base, and it is in the Green Gables colorway. And I am already fidgeting with how to show this to you. So it creates the lace pattern. Here we go, I'll stretch it out like that. The lace pattern is this really nice leaf motif, and not too terribly difficult. I have already messed up in one spot. I think I mentioned it last time. I have two little goofs, but I think one of them will be really easily fixable. I just did a yarn over somewhere where I wasn't supposed to. And so I have like a hole, but I'm going to try to go back and like do some duplicate stitch over it. And then I kind of got off on one of the leaf borders. But as I've been working on it, I am realizing that it's not as noticeable as I thought it would be. So I think I'm just going to keep trucking right along. But I am really pleased with this. I think it's a great color. It's going to be really nice for fall, but even like, I could even see me wearing this like indoors in late summer, because it's just this nice verdant green color, maybe even in spring. I could probably get it done for St. Patty's Day, but it's just this beautiful tonal, beautiful green. And the yarn itself, it's a superwash, so it kind of has that superwash feel. It's very smooth. But it's kind of crisp. I don't know how to, it's not crunchy like linen, but it definitely has like a kind of crispness to it. And some of that will probably go away once I soak it and block it. But it's, again, really simple shawl. It'd be a great, great one to like maybe take on a trip, kind of like Susan B. Anderson's retreat shawl concept, in which you could do all the garter like in the car, and then when you get to your destination, put the lace on. I'm not the fastest knitter, but for those of you who are more speedy than me, you could probably whip this up in one trip. I probably could too if this was the only thing I was working on, but monogamy and I don't really seem to go well. Knitting monogamy, I should say that. I think monogamy is great, but not when it comes to knitting. So anyway, that is the Balsam Hollow shawl, and it is in my little skein bag, which I showed you all last week. So I don't know if she still has any of these kits. She wouldn't have any from like the first release, but I know she re-released it like right before the holidays with a Christmas kind of thing. But anyway, that is my Balsam Hollow, and I highly recommend it. Paula's pattern writing is so easy to follow. It's very clear. I love her writing style, I guess. It's not a percentage pattern. Like, she was sort of using Helen of Curious Handmaid's percentage pattern for some of her things, and this one isn't one of those, but it's still really clear. She does include charts. I just prefer the written pattern for myself for this particular one. I've used some of her charts before, but I don't know, for some reason I was having a really hard time visualizing the chart this time, but we'll get there eventually. The next thing I want to share, I showed last week. I made a little bit of progress on my summer, whoops, that's the wrong one. My summer night, here we go, my summer night socks. These are in my beautiful featherweight bag by Molly of A Homespun House. I love this bag. I need to go, I've been wanting to get some of her yarn. She's been dyeing up some beautiful yarn recently. I love like the cupcake colorway. There's some others I really like, but I just need to splurge and do it at some point. So as you can see, I finished, I think last time I showed you I had one whole cuff and then I had started the second cuff. Well, I finished both cuffs. This is the second sock. I just decided to continue on this particular one. So right now I'm doing the slip stitch heel. And this is in Regia's Fall Night colorway. It's the design line by Arnie and Carlos. I'll pull out the second one. When I like to knit my socks concurrently, I've discovered. But the problem I have is that when I keep them in the same project bag, they get tangled up. And so I keep one of them in a Ziploc bag inside the project bag, the one I'm not working on. And then the other one is free, so I'll trade these out in a minute, or in a little bit when I'm done with that. And then this was actually the first sock, so I have not started the heel flap. Now something interesting happened. I'm using the same needles, same number of cast on stitches, but I'm getting a different pattern here. So they're pretty much identical in terms of like where the striping is. But as you can see, this one and this one, the patterning is different. And I was showing the ladies at Knit Night, and they were like, oh, but that's good. That means that you can tell which foot it goes on. I thought, I had never thought of that. So one of these will be my right foot, and the other one will be the left foot. I don't know which one I like more. I'm kind of leaning toward this one, though, because that's really cool looking. I kind of like that. But yeah, so I've kind of got these two really interesting differences, but I really like them. I think they're really pretty. Um, yeah. And it was so funny. We were talking about this at Knit Night, like 2 weeks ago. They were saying, a lot of them were saying, I've always seen Regia in the store, but it doesn't look very good in the ball. Like, it just kind of doesn't look very pretty at all. Which is so funny because I guess the only Regia I've ever seen has been, like, in people's finished projects. And so whenever I would see it in the yarn store, like, I wouldn't be thinking, oh, that looks really ugly, because I already know, like, what it's going to look like. I don't know. But it was really funny. They were all, I was kind of surprised, because you always hear podcasters talking about Regia, and everyone was like, oh, that's so cool. I was like, whoa, y'all, I'm the newbie knitter here. Y'all should be like, oh, yeah, that stuff. But no, they thought it was really neat. So it was fun to get to share that. Mostly I'm just, like, listening to what they're doing and in total awe. But that's been really fun. If you live in the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area, even though Durham and Chapel Hill might be far away, you should totally come to Knit Night on Thursday nights at Warm and Fuzzy. It's a small group. It's an amazing yarn store. I've talked about it before. But it's so much fun. I mean, we talk about the most random stuff. I mean, this last week we helped one of the ladies pick glasses. Like, we talked about, what all we talked, I mean, it was just so crazy. Like, it's a really fun group of people, and it's a lot of fun. We talk about our animals and, crazy shenanigans, and it's really neat. So I really am enjoying that group. It's just fun. Like, it's fun to take, like, maybe a tedious project, like, I don't know, something you're just having to, like, it's kind of mindless, but, like, something you wouldn't just pick up at home. And to take it, and I feel like you can get through it with people a little bit better there. I should take my balsam hollow. I think I could manage that at Knit Night. But anyway, so I am blabbing on. So next I want to show you all, let's see here, what do I want to show you? I'll show you my hitchhiker. So my hitchhiker has, I have worked on it a little bit. This, I think, might just kind of end up being like a traveling project, like when I go home to Texas, or when I go maybe even to annual conference this summer, just take it with me and work on it when I'm kind of on the road, but not in the car, unfortunately, because I do get car sick, which is really unfortunate. But anyway, I'm so envious of you car knitters. Oh my goodness. But currently it is on a stitch holder because I've robbed its needle for another project. I only have one set of size 3s. And so, but it's coming along nicely. I think maybe last time I showed it, oh dear, I just almost lost it. Last time I showed it to you, I think I was like maybe somewhere over here. So I've added like, I think a spine and a half, maybe. And I think there's like, what, 49 spines, something like that. But anyway, I'm like maybe a little less than halfway done. But this, I'm trying to find the best angle to show this because this stitch holder is kind of weird. I am loving this yarn. This is the Malabrigo Machita, so it's the single merino, fingering weight single, and it is in the Lotus colorway. And oh, this is so beautiful. It's just really, I don't know, I just love, and I love the hitchhiker for it because it's a garter scarf or a garter shawl, so it really shows off all that beautiful variegation. And I actually kind of I think I've said this before, I like this little kind of weird pooled bit there. It just looks so painted. It kind of reminds me of like Saturn, like a purple blue version of Saturn. Really pretty. So that is my Hitchhiker by Martina Bem, and sort of a cult classic knitting project that I was excited to finally cast on. Speaking of excited to cast on, where am I going to put this? I'll put that there. I am trying take 2 of a vintage pattern that I showed on the former Hook and Gauge podcast. I started this pattern after reading a blog, and I'll link it in the show notes, which will be linked below. There are 3 girls, 3 young women, I should say. I think they live in Ohio, who are homeschooled, and they are sort of I'm trying to think. They kind of have formed like a singing group. They're sort of like the Andrew sisters, and they're the Boyer sisters, and our lives could not be any more different. Like I said, they were homeschooled, probably you know, we probably differ in some opinions, especially about, I think, what women should be doing. But I love their blog because I agree with them on a lot of things. They're very domestic. They sew, they knit, they crochet, they cook. I mean, they sing. It's really neat. So, and I love vintage things. I really do. I sew on an old sewing machine. I love making vintage looking clothing. I find it just flatters my body in particular a lot better than more modern cuts. But anyway, all that is to say, one day I was reading, I just happened back on their blog, and Bridget, the middle daughter, had shared a beautiful cream colored sweater that she had made. And it was this pattern. And it's from the Teenage Sewing Book by Betty Cornell. And it is free on Ravelry. I think Bridget was the one who uploaded it. So I will link that in the show notes, of course. It's a free pattern. It only goes up in a vintage size. It goes from 10 to 18. And to give you an idea, in tops, like in clothing, I'm like a 4. Depending on the cut, I'm like a 4 to a 6. In tops, like about somewhere like a small-ish, and I'm a size 14. So vintage patterns are kind of different. Although, I'm thinking about this, I think in sewing patterns I'm a 14 as well. So, I don't know. But there's a website, and I'll try to remember it and link it, but there's a website that talks about vintage sizing and like needle and yarn conversions. So that's really handy. This particular pattern uses fingering weight yarn and size 1 and size 3 needles. Now, I started this a while ago, and then the dog lovingly frogged it for me, so I took advantage of that and decided to tweak a few things. I am working on, I think this is, I don't know if this is the front or the back. You work it flat and then you seam it. So one of the differences, instead of using a size 1 needle for the ribbing, I just used a size 2, US 2, which is a 2.75 millimeter needle. And I'm already liking this fabric so much better. It's a little bit looser. I think it's just going to be really nice. I'm almost done with the rib. I've got maybe a little less than ½ an inch to go. And another sort of difference that I'm doing is I'm doing a slip stitch selvaged edge. So that'll be really easy when it comes time to seam it up. So yeah, I'm really liking this. This is the Quince & Company Finch, so they're fingering weight, 100% regular wool. It's not superwash. It is in the nasturtium colorway. It's this beautiful kind of red-orange, a little bit out of my comfort zone because I don't really gravitate toward orange, but I thought that would be all the more reason to do it. And so yeah, I'm trying it again, but I'm already a lot happier with the results. So it'll stretch out to be probably about like this. So even though it looks really tiny on the needles, it'll stretch, and it's like you could see in the picture, it's a crop waist, so it'll sit a little higher on the waist. And the ribbing, according to Bridget's post, the ribbing should keep it in place a little bit better. And one thing that I'm going to do, sort of like what Bridget did on hers, is wherever you see this black contrast, instead of doing a different color, she just did lace. So she found a really simple diamond lace pattern and did the collar in it and did the sleeves. I haven't decided if I'll do the collar. I might. Or I might actually just kind of do that one stripe and then leave the collar and the sleeves plain. I don't know. I haven't really decided. I haven't decided like how fancy I want to be. But we'll see. The thing we were laughing at night is the very conical looking bra that the lady is wearing. We're like, sort of looks like she has funnels on her chest, but we were cracking up at that. But so far, I mean, it's a very easy to read pattern. I don't know if Bridget did this or if somebody else did, but somebody typed this up, so it's really pretty intuitive. So anyway, check that out if you are interested in vintage patterns. So those are all of my works in progress. I don't have it over here with me. The contemplating frogging section, it's not quite in the frog pond. It's like maybe on the shore of the frog pond. I'm thinking about maybe frogging my Georgetown. For the same reason that I frogged my Habitat hat, I'm trying to like this Lion Brand yarn. And I just can't. it's working up okay. I mean, it really is nice to knit with. I mean, I don't take back any of that, but I think one of the big struggles I'm having is it doesn't block. It won't wet block. So you have to steam block it, and I just keep thinking, I'm like, if I am spending all this time on this cardigan, I want to make it using some good quality materials. And I'm not saying Lion Brand is not good quality. I mean, I think it is good quality for what it is, but like to me, this is like I want it to be a good wool sweater. I was gifted the yarn, and I'll still make something with it. I just don't know what yet. Maybe some hats, or I don't know. We'll figure that out. But yeah, so I'm kind of putting that on hold, and I'm going to wait till I have some funds to maybe either buy some Quince & Company, or I might do Cascade 220 or some type of wool yarn to make that again. Probably will end up being Quince & Company. Maybe not the owl, which is what it's made for, because alpaca and I don't always get along. But yeah, I just kind of been thinking about that, and when I cast it on again, I'm going to do the seamed version, I think, because I like the structure that it gives. But anyway, so we'll see. I haven't frogged it yet. I'm going to kind of keep thinking on it, but I am thinking about just kind of eventually saving up some money and buying some good wool yarn for that. So I will let you know. I'll let you know what happens. So in terms of finished objects, ooh, I didn't bring it in here. I'm going to go get it. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. These were actually finished before the last time I filmed, but I totally forgot to upload them. So these are my little quick mitts, the Quick and Bulky Mitts by Amy Pelletier, and ooh, I've got a little end that has wiggled its way free. So these are them. They are done in Malabrigo Rasta, which is their bulky, super bulky weight, and it's a single. I think it's a single. Yeah, it's a single, kind of very underspun, kind of almost like pencil roving. And this is in the Archangel colorway, if I didn't say that. And I really like them. They are so warm. Super, super warm. The only thing, because it is a single weight yarn, or a single ply yarn, it does pill. I have shaved these once already, and you probably can't see that, but it's already got some little fuzzies. So, I don't know. Like, I'm inclined to not wear these when I walk the dog, because the friction from the leash on them, I'm afraid, will kind of pill them up even more. But they are so warm. Like, I just think they're so warm, and they're so wonderful. Like, a day like today, these are perfect. So I don't know, maybe I'll just try wearing them, like, when I go to work, and, like, when I'm in the car driving and that kind of thing. I really like them. I think if I were to make them again, I would change these decreases at the top and maybe do, like, an even decrease around. And I think, as I mentioned before, I would probably rewrite the pattern in reverse, because this is sort of, hang on, Rory, that is not yours. I'm sorry. This is it sort of creates a right hand mitt, and with the way that the thumb is positioned, and so I would probably rewrite it to where you could actually have a right and a left, instead of having the same mitten and just kind of forcing your left hand into it. But I'm really pleased with them. They look really nice, and they worked up really fast. You could totally make these in one night if you need a quick gift, and it's a free pattern, and I will link it in the show notes. Alright, so that is it for the knitting. I'm going to do a quick shop update, and we'll talk about sewing. So if you are just interested in the knitting and you don't want to stick around, we'll see you next time. And if you're not interested in the shop, maybe go get some coffee and come back in a minute. This will be really short. So in the shop right now, I did a very small update yesterday, which was Saturday, February the 13th. I just have a few things. I'm sort of doing small updates, like just with a few bags in each. So these two prints that I've got, I'll show you this pattern first. These are some really awesome, huge spoons. So I have one of this bag, and then I have an oops bag where I accidentally had the spoons running up and down. So that one's a little bit cheaper than this. And these are my medium-sized project bags. They're really great. I mean, they'd be perfect for a large shawl, for like children's garments, even maybe a small sweater would fit in here. I bet my penguin pullover will fit in here once it's all said and done. So those are the spoons. I'm playing around with putting my label, that's my new label, on the outside. Then, let's see, I'll finish showing you the spoons. I have 2 of these up in the shop. These, oh, fuzz. These are more spoons. These are the large notions pouches, and they're also great for fixed circulars. They're about, I think that they are, I'm trying to remember, I think they're 7.5 by 7.5, so they're a really nice size. They'll definitely fit those 6-inch needle tips. Then, let's see here, I have got this pattern, which I love. This is this is called Gentleman's Hobby. It's like a fox hunt pattern. I don't know, can you see that precious little fox hiding? So cute. So, so cute. I have my little label there. And I've shortened the strap a little bit on these, so they're not quite as long as the other ones. And then in that same fox print, I have the small notions pouch. So this is perfect for like stitch markers. I love these. Like I like to have a few of them, and like if I'm going to knit night or when I go on my trips home to Texas, I'll just put whatever notions I need for that project in here, stick it in my project bag, and I'm good to go. So there is the small fox hunt notions pouch. And then this is the large notions pouch. Love this, got the little fox on the back. So those are the new things in the shop. I'm really excited. I've gotten some more fabrics, some really beautiful pastel kind of like really spring-like. I've got this one fabric. I'm really excited, and I was going to do a preview, but I was like, no, I'll wait. It's a really neat map fabric, so stay tuned for that. I'll let you all know when those are in the shop. And if you follow me on Instagram, I generally do post on there when I've done a shop update, so you all can check that out there. Okay, so we had a brief cavalcade of barking. Yay! So what was I saying? We're going on now to the sewing section of the video cast. How's that for a really smooth transition? So if you're not interested, we'll see you next time, hopefully in 2 weeks, and hope you have a good week, good 2 weeks. Oh my. So anyway, we're going to talk about sewing now. Of course I sew project bags, but recently I've kind of gotten a bug to start sewing some garments again, and part of that's driven by I really don't like what's in my closet right now, and I have grand ideas of what I would like in my closet, but some of that is not really manufactured anymore. So, or the cuts and things like that. So anyway, and also I just have missed sewing clothes. They're actually, you know, they're kind of both infuriating and a lot of fun to sew. So I thought I would get back into it. And I will, in my sewing blog, which I mentioned earlier, I'll probably do a post of like, you know, maybe, I don't know if I'm going to get into like why it's been so long since I really kind of wanted to do garment sewing or any of that, but I'll definitely talk about it at some point in the future. So anyway, this weekend, make a long story short, I decided that I really wanted to just make all the things. So I did restrict myself. I went through my pattern collection and pulled out 5 patterns that I really wanted to have in my closet, have made in my closet. And one of which I'm wearing now. This is my one of my sewing FOs. This is a pattern by Simplicity, and hopefully I will put some pictures that I took earlier in right now. So like I said, this is a pattern by Simplicity. It is Simplicity number 2147. It's a Learn to Sew book, or Learn to Sew pattern, I should say. No zippers, no like really crazy tailoring sort of techniques. Pretty easy to do. Here's the pattern front. And in this particular pattern, you get it's a very, I mean, it's like, I'm trying to think how to say this. It's very few pieces, but you can make several things. You can make a sleeveless dress. You can make this dress, which is what I did with the short sleeves. You can make a tunic top with longer sleeves. Or I don't know if that's supposed to be a dress with longer sleeves. So what I'm wearing right now kind of looks more like this. And I used just a quilter's cotton from Joann's. It's from their Calico Keepsake collection. If you go to Joann's, usually like they'll have all the specialty quilting fabric, which is awesome and I love it. But they'll also have a wall that has a lot of quilter's cotton that's arranged by color, and that's where I found this. This was a pleasant surprise, so I thought it was really cute and trendy. It's these fun little metallic birds on a navy background. And this was really easy. It would have taken me less time. I have a sewing machine, a vintage sewing machine, and a serger, a more modern serger. But sergers, if you don't know what sergers do, they overlock your edges for a really nice professional clean finish, so your edges don't fray. Maybe like if you looked inside of maybe like a commercially made shirt and you see like the threads that overlap the edge, that's what a serger does. And they're great machines, but they're a little finicky to thread, and sometimes there can be issues, and of course that's what happened here, and so I had to go back and remind myself, okay, what are all the settings it needs to be on, how, and so that just took a little while. And I had to like vacuum it out because it gets really gunky, and so anyway, it turned out to be a much bigger ordeal than I was thinking, but really simple dress. I think if I make it again, the top, they have you use bias tape to finish the neck, which is not my favorite finishing technique. I much prefer like a lining or maybe even a facing, but maybe I just need to get a little better at sewing this in. There are definitely some little mistakes where the fabric puckered a little bit and that kind of thing, but I'm trying to let that go. Try not to worry about it. But the other thing that I might actually do if I alter this at all, I think the last time I made this, I extended the length by about 2 inches. Not that this is like obscenely short, but it is a little short for what I normally wear. And I think in the winter time it's great because I can wear tights and some boots, but if I were to make this for the summer, I'd probably lengthen it a little bit. And the other thing is, I don't know if you can tell, but it's a pretty straight dress. And what's interesting is that the pattern pieces actually taper. So they start out real wide at the top and they taper, because you pleat it up at the top, which brings that top part in a little bit. And so probably what I would experiment with would just be to have the pattern go like straight down. You would get a lot more fullness in the skirt portion, but one of the only weird things about this particular dress is that when I turn to the side, like the back kind of cups in, which as you can imagine is not super flattering. So I might try that and see if it didn't taper so much, if it would actually kind of stand out a little more. I don't know. But it's a very simple pattern, and I highly recommend it. So that was my like one success out of the intended patterns that I made. The next pattern that I did, I was really excited about. I don't even remember when I bought this, but it was this Lizette by Simplicity 2209. So it's Simplicity 2209. It's a Lizette pattern. And I wanted to make this little sundress, and I've been wanting kind of just a really simple gray dress in my wardrobe for quite some time, and I thought, okay, this might be a good one for that because it's got a nice cut to it, it's pretty flattering looking, so I'll give it a try. And by and large, most of the reviews said it was pretty easy. By and large, it was easy, but here's where I get to show you all my goofs. So, let's see here. Here's the front. I didn't do all the complete finishing on it, but here's the front. As you can see, it's got a pleated skirt with this really interesting crossover dart detail in the front. The armholes are finished using that lovely bias tape method, and the neck and back are finished with facings. The pattern calls for a side, like enclosed flap zipper, but I opted for a back zipper, and we'll talk about the zipper here in a minute. One of my first big, I guess I did one alteration with this. I raised the neckline quite a bit. The neckline was supposed to be a pretty significant scoop, but scoops don't generally look very good on me because I'm not really full chested. So I raised the neckline, and then speaking of not being full chested, these darts, while I really like that interesting crossover detail, these darts look terrible on. And I read a few reviews of people who said the same thing. They're very pointy. They create very awkward puckers in places you don't really want awkward puckers. So I love the idea of them, but they're just not flattering at all. The other thing that I don't fully appreciate is the finishing for the armholes. I would much rather either fully line the garment with like a top lining or somehow include the armholes in that kind of facing, because there is, I don't know if you can see this, but there is a ton of bulk in that shoulder seam. I mean, there's just a lot of bulkiness. So yeah, the reason why I opted for a back zipper instead of the side zipper was because everyone said that the directions for the side zipper were terrible. So, and everyone said, oh, I would have put in a back zipper if I could. So that's what I did, but silly me, it had been so long since I put in a zipper in a garment that I forgot that ideally I like to do that before I sew the pieces in. So I got the whole dress done and then I put in the zipper. And so it was really hard. You can see where I had to like go in and pull out. That's what some of that loose thread is. So it was really hard for me to maintain a really clean edge in the back. And so that was, but you know, I was willing to forego that. So I got it all done. I put it on. And when I turned, the profile just did not look right at all. This is supposed to be a pretty flattering A-line dress. I saw it on other people. It looked fine, aside from the funky darts, which I mentioned. But if you'll notice the back pleats, try to get to where y'all can see that. The back pleats are supposed to go toward the center. I don't know what I was thinking, but I did them backwards. So frustrating. And I also think that because this is a woven, it's like there's not a wrong or a right side. It's just the same on both sides. So I might have done the pleats correctly, but I might have actually swapped the sides. I'm not really sure how I did that. But anyway, it was just incredibly frustrating. But I learned a lot. So for a while I thought, okay, I'm going to remake this dress. I'm going to do all these things. And while I'm going to keep looking at other people's reviews of it and see like what I can figure out to do. But I started thinking, I'm like, well, if the darts don't look good on anybody, you know, why don't I just find a different pattern? So let's see here. I went digging through my pattern collection again. And, Rory, you okay, buddy? Dog shenanigans. And I found this one. And it's a Project Runway pattern. It's also by Simplicity. It's $24.73. And it's just this very simple little shift dress with a kind of, you have options for more tapered and options for A-line. I would probably make the more A-line version, but I can't tell which one is which. I guess that's the A-line down there, but that kind of looks slightly flared, so I don't know. But anyway, I think this will be a really good option, and I might try to make it out of the same suiting fabric, because I like this fabric. This is a woven polyester, so it's real easy care. I like the color. This is definitely the color I'm going for. So, yeah, we'll see if I have better luck with that. But I learned a lot, was reminded of a lot. So this wasn't, I guess, a total waste. Trying to tell myself that. And then the last fail I don't even have with me. I was trying to make this really simple circle skirt by Simplicity. This is another one from my stash. It's $42.36. I was doing the half circle version because I really would like a black half circle skirt in my wardrobe. And again, it had the concealed flap zipper, and I totally botched it. And while I was sewing the fabric, I had gotten a black suiting fabric from Joann's. It was not very expensive at all. It was so slick, and it actually had a sheen when I started working with it that I didn't see in the store, so maybe the lighting was different, but it just was not working. So anyway, so that was kind of a bust, but I'm planning on maybe trying out a different woven fabric or something and practicing a concealed zipper, not an invisible zipper, but with a concealed zipper, and then giving this another try. But it's, because again, it's a 6 made easy. I should be able to do this. But, so yeah, I'll let you guys know how that goes. In terms of planning things, the next pattern that I think I'm going to tackle is going to be this darling thing, which I've also had in my pattern collection. Clearly have not opened it yet. And this is not the right number, that 0259. And I regret that I did not look up the right number. But if you look up Simplicity Jiffy dress, you should be able to find it. And it's a very simple sleeveless dress. It says it just uses 2 main pattern pieces. I'm going to do this version with the collar and the buttons. And I thought it would be really fun to do it in this really bright kind of verdant green check gingham. And this is a suiting material, so it's a little, this gingham is a little bit thicker than, or not suiting, shirting. It's shirting material. It's a little thicker than kind of the run-of-the-mill gingham at Joann Fabrics. It's still pretty thin though, so I think I am going to need a slip to wear underneath it. But I'm still really excited about it. So I'll do the main dress fabric in the green and the collar in the white, and then I'll do 4 white buttons. The pattern calls for 5 buttons, but I could only find packages with 4, so I figured I would just do 4. And they're non-functioning, they're just decorative, so I think that'll be really nice. The last thing, and I might actually work on this today, the last thing is a pattern that I've done several times before, and it is this Vogue V7910, and I am going to be doing the, this C skirt, so it has pockets, which is really awesome. It's just a really flattering A-line skirt, and I'm going to do it in this very fun mustard, kind of vintagey material. So that should be, sorry, the dog just walked by my little setup, so you might have gotten bumped. So that should be really nice. This is a great pattern. It's pretty simple. I love the pockets. They're awesome. Of course, I love any skirt with pockets. But yeah, so that hopefully will work out. So yeah, that's all my sewing things. And hopefully I'll come back with some more finished objects and some more of what I learned next time. So until then, I hope you guys have a very crafty week, and we'll see you later. Bye!